Military intervention in Benin Republic, and of course, matters arising is what we are about. Of course, it was quite a very intelligent and, of course, smart operations where the military, Nigerian military got involved in fueling the coup d'etat in Benin Republic, and of course, the bombardment of the Beninese airspace to tackle the, masterminds, and of course, the group of soldiers that seized the national TV and declared that they've seized power from the president, Patrice Talon. Well, that again is what we will be critiquing. Well, just while we had the opportunity to gather pages of the newspaper on, we also saw it where some aspect about the legality was a little bit put to rest, but we don't know how it's going to be, tackled by our analyst here in the studio as regards the legality. Of course, there could be some bilateral arrangement and agreement between ECOWAS, AU, and all that has to do with, issues concerning how to assist in tackling conflicts in Africa, of course, in the Economic Community of West African States. All about this we will be looking at. Of course, after that, we will quickly look into issues, like I said earlier, concerning the rift between Baseki and, of course, his successor, Monday Okpawulo, Senator Monday Okpawulo, beg pardon, where issues surrounding, the Radisson Hotel, and, of course, the Museum West African, states issues came up, and the Edo State House of Assembly demanded that the former governor, appear before it. But failure to appear before it has also incurred the wrath of the State House of Assembly to say they could look into the option of arresting him and forcing him to appear before it. Well, issues, you may say. Joining me to discuss this in the studio, I have the Edo State Publicity Secretary, a legal luminary, in the person of Dan Osagbege. Good morning. Good to have you. Join me.
Thank you very much, Philip. Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning with you.
All right. Also, joining me from the United States of America and Texas, Houston particularly, is a man who we usually disturb his sleep a little bit for us to have him on set with us. Ahmed Mamadou. Good to have you join. Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning, Philip. Good morning, Dan. And good morning, viewers at home. My greetings to everyone.
All right. Well, let's quickly start with you, Daniel. A lot happened, on Sunday, and what a smart operations, that involved the Nigerian military in bombarding some part of the airspace of Benin Republic in order to tackle this issue of coup d'etat. How do you grade that development?
Yeah, well, let me first of all greet my friend and brother, Ahmed Mahmoudou.
I know you do.
He's a friend. We soldier together in 2020 when I was in APC for Pastor Sageze Amu's governorship election. We fought side by side, and he's a great guy. He's a great Edo son. Well, I would say that it is exciting news, at least once in so many years of the disastrous reign of the APC in Nigeria, that our military, could pull out the success they did in Benin Republic a few days ago. And most Nigerians are actually happy at that role that we play, because that's actually our role as a regional superpower in Africa, in West Africa, to be able to stabilize democracy in this part of the world. So I will give kudos to President Bola Tinubu.
Fantastic.
For being very proactive and going into our sister country, Republic of Benin, to forestall the coup d'etat. You never can tell when you allow that to happen, because the one that happened in Guinea-Bissau is still there and still being spoken about.
And they could be contagious.
Of course. So before you know it, it's spread to our domain. So it is very good that the government was proactive to be able to quickly check it and ensure that it was contained very quickly. So I must give kudos to him. We are Nigerians, and where government does well, we will definitely give kudos. And of course, we will bite when government is also not doing well. So if they accept our praise, they should be able to also accept our vilification when they don't do well.
Okay, I was thinking that you just want to drop that and again use a bot as a way to dive into another aspect of insecurity in Nigeria, because some will say, well, you've been able to smartly and smoothly, like hot knife passing through butter, tackle the issue with solidarity from other countries in fueling that coup. But again, what if we come back home about tackling insecurity home? Are you saying same magnitude?
You know, what happened in Benin is not exactly the same as what is happening in Nigeria since around 2014. That was precipitated banditry in the north and maybe secession cries in the southeast. He tried to rear his ugly head in the southwest as well, but that one was contained very quickly. You know, you know what our military did showed that our military actually has capacity.
Has the might.
That maybe that there are some underlying reasons why they've not been able to curtail banditry in the north.
That could be linked to,
to
politics also.
We must look at it. I think it might just be politics. It might also be that, you know, there are things that are happening that we don't exactly know.
Or lack of political will to mention those who are involved.
That is the point. That is the point. Now, because you know, a fly that perches on your scrotum is very hard
to kill.
So that is the point that we are in Nigeria. But I think that the interest of the United States in the insecurity in Nigeria, I'm sure that the current president might be able to do something as regards that, because we need to nip it. We need to be able to curtail it, because it is moving very quickly to the southern part of the country. I heard a few days ago that on the outskirts of Benin, you know, some kidnappers went to pick people from their homes while they were resting at home or sleeping at home. They went to pick people from their homes and took them away. So it is gradually coming to the south, and when it comes here, it becomes a pandemic that might just consume this country.
Okay, I must salute your sincere dexterity in tackling that, even though you are in the opposition.
No, thank you. We are patriotic
that didn't
citizens.
fail you to speak truth to power.
No, we are patriotic citizens, and because we are patriotic citizens, we are after the interest, the welfare of this country. If it is good for Nigeria, if for instance, if the APC does well, it helps us. If the APC does well in Nigeria or in Edo State, it helps us to live better lives. It helps our family. Yes.
I believe you'll be all smiles now, Ahmed Mamadou. That gives you a soft landing, of course, finding it very, very sweet and flowery to tackle this. But let's look at your thoughts around this. The Nigerian military operations in Benin Republic, and of course, how do you grade that?
Let me quickly thank you again for inviting me to share my thoughts. And I'm really excited to see my brother, Barrister Dan Osagbege, at the other end. I'm not surprised that his thoughts are progressive, because we trained him in a progressive bent. We have loaned him temporarily to the PDP, and I'm sure in no short time he'll be coming back into the APC. But to the issue at hand, what had happened was on Sunday, December the 7th, 2025, a group of adventurists, like we like to call them in Nigeria, tried to take away power from the constituted authorities in Benin, and they were roundly defeated by a combined force of not just the Nigerian army, but from militaries from some other West African countries who acted on a pact, the ECOWAS, the old ECOWAS pact, that allows collaboration when there is the removal of any constituted authority. Now, there are two legs to that. The first leg is the pact. Once they sign the pact, they become signatories to the pact that allows the use of force, if necessary, to return constituted authority where it is displaced by the military. And the second one is where they also asked for intervention. So the people who are saying that there is a similarity between this incident and what happened in Niger is a little bit displaced, because in these incidents, Benin requested specifically, the constituted authority requested for assistance, and by ECOWAS pact, we were bound to act also. So there's that. Now, why is it important? Why we acted so quickly? We wanted to prove that sovereignty is more important when it is given by the people, and they have a mandate that is currently ongoing, and we will not tolerate any form of military interregnum. We will not tolerate any form of adventurists into the democratic space, and it will not be tolerated. It will not be allowed to flourish in any way, manner, or form. Now, if you look at what recently happened in Nigeria, there was the rumor of a coup, although it hasn't been completely put at bay. But the idea is that there is a wave of military restlessness that is sweeping across West Africa. So it was good that the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu handled this in a timely manner, crushed it, and restored constitutional democracy. Because we cannot allow these people to take us back 50 years, in some cases 100 years, where we are operating on the whims and caprices of anybody. We need to follow constituted authority, and we need to follow the civilian form of government, not just in West Africa, but in Africa as a whole.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Mamadou. Well, let's look at this going forward, and how can we use this as a way of, also making progress and impact in domestic issues, basically as regards insecurity.
Yeah, it will give our military forces a lot of confidence, going into tackling internal insecurity in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I'm so sure that, politics aside, religion aside, then, Nigerians will know that we are essentially one people. And because we are essentially one people, what happens to one affects another. So we should band together at this time, irrespective of parties, irrespective of religious inclination, and irrespective of whatever we think. We must band together to protect the sovereignty of this country, the integrity of this country, to be able to say no bandits, enough is enough, renegade elements, enough is enough, your time has passed and you must be swept up now. So once we give the right messages, and most of these bandits, most of these people, they are actually cowards. So we must support our government to be able to achieve the level of security that will be able to help this country stand on a strong economic footing. Because without security, we won't be able to do any other thing. We can't talk about GDP without security. We can't talk about our sports teams doing well in global tournaments without a proper security. So we must remove politicization, and we must say, no, look, let us stand to protect our country.
Brilliant.
Let us stand to advance the cause of our country.
Brilliant.
But again, I will also advise those in government today, they should not heat up the polity in such a way that opposition will think that, okay, they have to use every means to fight those in government, to discredit them. To the point, you remember that in 2015, this APC, they did everything to discredit Jonathan, including calling for international committee to invade Nigeria.
To unsettle his government.
To unsettle his government. They did everything to do that. So they didn't show patriotism at the time. They didn't show that. But we are different. As PDP now, we are different. And we are saying that...
You are becoming political now.
Yeah, no, I'm not political. We are saying that it is country first.
Yeah.
It is country first. We must choose our country first, and we must bond it, our government, our leaders, to be able to say, we do not want military incursion into our body politic, but those in government should not also frustrate legitimate opposition, like what is happening in Nigeria.
We're going to be digressing a little bit, and I want you to react to what Ahmed Mamadou said.
Yes.
You are the Edo State PDP Publicity Secretary, and quite awesome. And he said you got the values and training from the All Progressives Congress, and possibly
it was
you
actually,
could defect back to it. We've seen this, in the usual manner of politicians. I don't know, because you've defected earlier.
Yeah, it is not actually for me. My first foray into politics as a full adult, not as a student or as a young adult, was in PDP. Initially, I hated politics. I didn't want to be called a politician. So when I talk politics, people will call me, politician. I'll say, no, don't call me politician. But later, I now understood that politicians are actually statesmen, and they are the most important people in the life of a society, in the life of a country. So I was more and more interested in politics. So I joined the PDP in 2014 to be able to fight against the impending coming at that time of Muhammadu Buhari.
But you also allowed the bug of defection to...
Yes, I'm coming. Hold on. I was against the coming of Muhammadu Buhari because I said I didn't have much to offer. I recall at that time, Ahmed Mamadou was on the other side supporting Buhari. And we fought on this studio many times, several times. I was in PDP. So he could not have trained me. I was already on air long before he ever came on air.
But not that you also learned some values. Not that you also learned some values from the APC.
I learned values from Pastor Ezeyamu, who was my leader at the time. You know, I'm not ashamed to say it anytime.
Okay.
I learned a lot from him.
All right.
You know, watching him, being close to him, working closely with him. There are a lot I learned from him that I'm using today and helping me both in my legal practice and, of course, in my politics.
All right.
So, as per coming back to APC, that's not going to happen. And I'm able to say it today.
Okay.
Because I'm more PDP in inclination. I'm a centrist by political ideology. I'm not an extremist. I'm a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, but I'm more like in the center, in the middle, going a bit to the left, a bit, just a bit to the left. So in PDP, I've found a home. Unless the APC, unless Bola Ahmed Tinubu succeeds in killing PDP as he's trying to do.
Okay,
but I'm sure Nigerians
we just wanted to digress a bit.
But I'm sure Nigerians will not allow that.
All right.
Because the PDP is the grand old party in Nigeria.
Thank you. Let's focus on the business of the day.
Thank you.
Let's get your reactions while you react briefly to what the Edo State Publicity Secretary Danusa Ogbege said in that regard. Ahmed Momodu, after reaction, we also want you to take a bite on what you see as lessons that Nigeria can also, imbibe in tackling insecurity within their nation state.
So I don't want to be misquoted. I didn't say I taught him. Like he rightly pointed out, I met him in the political space. I said we taught him progressive ideals. I was very particular. Progressive ideals. Right now, they are being conservative, and that's why there's confusion in the PDP. Now, what can Nigeria learn from all of these things that is happening? What are the lessons that we can learn? The lessons that we can learn are simply that whenever there is any kind of insurgency in any form or any regard, it needs to be tackled swiftly, it needs to be tackled surely and decisively. We need to bring the full force of the law, and we need to be clear about the objectives we want to achieve. There are some elements of the military that we've confused in this action. Some people are saying, for example, that why is it easy for the military to tackle the coup plotters in Benin, and they are not able to tackle the insurgents? Now, we are talking about two different kinds of warfare. The insurgency in Benin was a unified military. It was directed, it was a social structure, there was an organizational structure, there was a routine and housing, etc., etc. But with the insurgents, it's entirely different. You have them spread out all over different places, and it's difficult to pinpoint the leadership structure, it's difficult to alienate them, and it's difficult to attack their bases because they don't have one per se. Now, let me quickly also point out that when we talk about banditry, a military coup against civilian government is also a form of banditry because they are coming to steal what does not belong to them. They are coming to take away what belongs to the people. They come and take away the properties, the votes, and the commonwealth of the people, just like Godwin Obaseki did. That's the issue that we are coming to next. He took away our property, he took away accountability, and now we are coming to the point where, just like you are going to quickly point that out soon, we need to ask what is happening, and we need some accountability in this regard.
But we'll be looking into that, the rift between Obaseki and Senator Modo Kwebolo, looking at the projects, that really is the crucible as regards the MOA and, of course, Radisson Blue Hotel. We'll take a short break, after which we'll dive into that critically. Do stay.